Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about a huge shift in artificial intelligence, something called agentic workflows. This is all about moving beyond just simple commands and into a world where AI can, actually think for itself.
Yeah, this quote really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We're seeing this growing demand for AI that doesn't just execute a list of commands, but can actually think, adapt, and achieve some pretty complex goals all on its own.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with what these things even are. Then we'll look at the key difference from what came before. After that, we'll dive into how they solve problems, the tech that makes it all possible, and finally, we'll weigh the good against the bad, the benefits and the challenges. All right, let's get into it.
So first up, what does agentic actually mean? Well, at its core, it's this really fundamental change. It's about moving away from telling an AI exactly what steps to take and instead just giving it a goal and saying, hey, you figure it out.
Independence is absolutely the key word here. You see, traditional automation just follows a rigid script. It does what it's told, period. But these agents, they can actually look at a situation, analyze it, and figure out the best path forward completely on their own.
To really get a feel for this, let's use a simple analogy. It really helps to see the old way of doing things versus this new approach.
Think about it like this. A standard AI workflow, that's your assembly line. It does the exact same thing in the exact same order every single time. It's rigid. An agentic workflow, though, that's more like bringing in a skilled problem solver, someone who can look at a totally new situation and map out a custom plan to tackle it.
And here's a perfect real-world example. Say a customer support ticket comes in. The old assembly line workflow just, categorizes it and sends it on its way. But the problem solver agent? It might look at the ticket and go, I'm missing some info here. And then it proactively decides to contact the customer to get the details it needs. See the difference? One follows a script, the other actually strategizes.
Okay, so we've got the what down, but how do these agents actually do all this? How do they think? Well, it really comes down to three core strategies.
It's a pretty logical process, actually. First, the agent plans its attack. It breaks the big problem down into smaller, manageable pieces. Then it uses tools, think search engines, databases, to go out and get the information it needs. And finally, and this is the really cool part, it reflects on its own work. It literally critiques itself to make improvements before it gives you the final result.
And that planning part is it's essential, especially for those messy, vague problems like, hey, improve this website's performance. A simple script would just throw its hands up, right? But the agent, it creates a roadmap. It's going to analyze speeds, find the bottlenecks, research fixes, and then test them. It thinks before it acts.
This is what's so game-changing about tool use. It lets the agent break out of its pre-trained knowledge bubble. It's no longer just a passive assistant with a static library of facts. It becomes an active researcher. It can tap into live, real-world data, like pulling current stock prices right this second.
And reflection. This is like the agent's built-in quality control. Think about tasks where your first try is almost never perfect, like writing code or drafting a big report. The agent can create a draft, check it against the goal, spot the flaws, and then revise it. It repeats that cycle over and over until the work is actually good. It's learning from its own mistakes right there on the spot.
So what's under the hood? What kind of tech actually powers these smart strategies? Well, it's not just one thing. It's actually a combination of 5 key pieces of technology, all working together like a team.
Okay, so think of it like a crew. You've got robotic process automation, or RPA. Those are the hands, the digital workers doing the repetitive tasks. Then there's natural language processing, NLP. That's the ears and mouth, letting it understand what you want. The AI agent itself, that's the brains of the whole operation. Workflow orchestration is like the project manager, making sure everyone's doing their job in the right order. And finally, you have integrations and APIs. Those are the bridges connecting the agent to all the other software and data it needs.
So let's see how that crew works together. An invoice from a new vendor comes in. The AI agent, the brains, decides, okay, this needs to be paid. Then it hands off the task to RPA, the doer, which goes into the system, creates the new vendor profile, and types in all the payment details. See, the thinker and the doer working in perfect sync.
All right, now for the reality check. Because like any powerful new tech, this isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are some really important trade-offs to consider. And it really boils down to this core trade-off. On one hand, you get this incredible autonomy, right? Systems that can handle surprises and actually get smarter over time. But on the other hand, that same freedom leads to unpredictability. You can't always know how it's going to solve a problem.
Plus, it's generally slower and more expensive to run than simple automation.
And that unpredictability, that can be a huge deal, especially in highly regulated fields like finance or healthcare. I mean, in those care areas, you need processes to be consistent, to be auditable every single time. So for them, an agent that goes off script could be a pretty big liability.
But let's make one thing super clear. This isn't just a minor upgrade. Agentic workflows are a massive step forward. They represent a totally new way to use AI for complex end-to-end tasks, unlocking a level of efficiency and scale that just wasn't possible before.
So really, at the end of the day, the big question for every organization is this: how do we balance all this powerful new automation with the need for good old-fashioned human oversight? Because as this tech gets better and better, finding that sweet spot, empowering the agents but making sure they stay aligned with our goals, that's going to be the real key to success.